Hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the news show powered by ohmTown.com. I am Mayor Watt. The sentient AI isn't available for the show, and this is a time machine episode for April 18th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 109. The rundown, real quick, is AI Doomer, Crypto Manipulation, Cybertruck Resiliance, Avoiding the Judge, An Ancient Snake, Copyright Book with a Twist, Going the Extra Miles, Sending a Useful Car to Space, Can't Scan My Brain, and Nuke York Power Plant. That and maybe more. I don't know. I'll probably have to do things really quick because, well, it's a time machine episode and we can't let it overheat. Everything's powered by ohmTown.com. Go over, become a citizen. Follow us over here on twitch.tv/ohmTown and youtube.com/ohmTown. Download the podcast. We're up to, 800, 900 episodes, something like that. We're on season 3, and we have several other podcasts. So Reality Hacker, Wanted, Warcrafters, The Continuity Report, Technology Today, and Four Wheel Tech. I'll probably be announcing 2 more this weekend. Not sure. But again, let's get into the show. Hello again. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com, and the sentient AI is not available for today's show. So let's just get going. I want to get trucking so that we can actually get back from the time machine and get ready for the 8 o'clock show on April 19th, 2024. I had mayoral duties that I had to attend to all day, all night. It never ends when you're a mayor, but that's okay. Let's get into the show. I'm not going to do transitions. The first article is over in The Word and Law. Feds appoint AI Doomer to run U.S. AI Safety Institute. According to this article, appointed as head of the AI Safety, of AI Safety, is Paul Cristiano, a former OpenAI researcher who pioneered a foundational AI safety technique called reinforcement learning from human feedback, but is also known for predicting that, quote, there's a 50% chance AI development could end in doom. Which, no. But anyway, while Cristiano's research background is impressive, some fear that by appointing a so-called AI doomer, NIST may be risking encouraging non-scientific perceptions, I suppose, and research and takes on all of this. There's more over at the article. Let's go over here real quick. I actually have to fix this stream because it is a time machine episode and I have it set for a date too far back. Anyway, Ashley Bellinger over at ArsTechnica.com put the article together. And so what the article actually says, NIST may be risking encouraging non-scientific thinking. Yeah, that may many critics view as sheer speculation. And it is, because you can't freaking predict. You can't even predict the risk. 50% chance of AI development that could end in doom. It's so stupid to sit there and... I'm throwing something into the chat. So I think that it is absolutely irresponsible to sit there and say it's a coin flip, that it's going to end in doom. We are the makers of that particular outcome. It's not going to spontaneously become something that leads to our doom. It says there have been rumors that NIST staffers oppose the hiring. A controversial VentureBeat report last month cited 2 anonymous sources claiming that seemingly because of Cristiano's so-called AI doomer views, NIST staffers were revolting. And that may be because of that hire or because they're revolting. No, I'm sorry. That was really funny. Anyway, Some staff members and scientists allegedly threatened to resign, VentureBeat reported, fearing that Cristiano's association with effective altruism and long-termism could compromise the Institute's objectivity and integrity. But if you have this heartfelt 50% chance, that it's literally a coin flip, it's asinine. There has been nothing to date that has led up to. You take every single instance of AI to date and think of the future, and you'll still end up with nearly no chance that it'll end up in doom. You know how stats work? Everybody can make them up right on the spot. In fact, 62.53% of all stats are made up on the spot. On the Bankless podcast, Cristiano shared his opinions last year that quote, there's something like a 10 to 20% chance of AI takeover, which in and of itself is batshit crazy. That results in humans dying and, quote, overall, maybe you're getting up to more 50-50 chance of doom shortly after you have AI systems that are human level. No. This is so doom and gloom bullshit that I can't stand this. It's irresponsible, because there's going to be wingnuts out there, and I think that this person certainly falls in line, that are going to take this as absolute science because this person is so-called respected. But no, I don't think so. Critics of so-called AI doomers have warned that focusing on any potentially overblown talk of hypothetical killer AI systems or existential AI risks may stop humanity from focusing on current perceived harms from AI, including environmental, privacy, ethics, bias issues. Emily Bender, a University of Washington professor of computational logistics, who has warned about AI doomers thwarting the important ethical work in the field, told ours that because, quote, weird AI doomer discourse, end quote, was included in Joe Biden's AI executive order, quote, NIST has been directed to worry about these fantasy scenarios, and that's the underlying problem leading to Cristiano's appointment. Yeah, there should never have been somebody that is so overtly, and I'm only taking these statements at face value. You know, they could have other opinions that mitigate this, but I haven't seen them, and I don't follow Cristiano around, so perhaps they're actually a little bit more metered, but I don't know. This is what everybody's talking about. In addition to Cristiano, the Safety Institute's leadership team would include Mara Quintero Campbell, a Commerce Department official who led projects on COVID response and CHIPS Act implementation, as acting Chief Operating Officer and Chief of Staff Adam Russell, an expert focused on AI, human AI teaming, forecasting, and collective intelligence, will serve as Chief Vision Officer. Rob Wright, a human-centered AI expert on leave from Stanford University, will be Senior Advisor, and Mark Latonero, a former White House global AI policy expert who helped draft Biden's AI executive order, will be Head of International Engagement. If all the others are more future-looking and resisting the call of, I think, what is a wingnut perception of AI takeover, I think there is a major imbalance in the weight being given to Cristiano's perspective. I would say that there is a 0 chance of AI doom, but Cristiano explained his views on AI doom. Ours couldn't immediately reach Cristiano for a comment, but he explained his views on AI doom and responsible AI scaling. But it should not be a policy of an entire organization to be led by someone that is sitting there saying that it's 50-50. In a blog post on Less Wrong, he explained that there were 2 distinctions that often led to confusion about what he believes regarding AI doom. The first distinction is between dying and having a bad future, existential risk versus, well, extinction risk versus existential risk, which, whatever. Clarifying that he thinks there's a good chance of bad futures without extinction, e.g., that AI systems take over but don't kill anybody or everyone. For one version of a bad future would be an outcome where the world is governed by AI systems and we aren't able to build AI systems who share our values or care a lot about helping us, which Cristiano said may not even be an objectively terrible future. Again, why are there statistics involved in this? There is zero evidence that it's going to end up even 50-50, even 10-20, 10 to 90% that it's going to be bad 10%. There's zero chance. Why? Because we are the ones that are deciding this. Then they say the other distinction is between dying now and dying later. Cristiano said, clarifying that dying later may not exactly result from AI, but from circumstances following AI advancement, which that's kind of like saying global warming isn't caused by humans, it's caused by our industrialization. Come on. This is mealy mouth bullshit. So, okay, I'll let you all go over there and read the article because I'll spend forever on this, but let's keep going. So the next article is over on the Hedge Ideas channel, and it is titled "New York Jury Convicts Man in First Ever Cryptocurrency Market Manipulation Case." Abraham, I didn't even know that this was really possible unless you owned quite a bit of a cryptocurrency. But Abraham Eisenberg was found guilty of obtaining $110 million by manipulating the price of cryptocurrency futures on Mango markets, a crypto token. So that's probably what it is. They have a significant enough pool of assets that they could actually manipulate it, because there's so much balkanization of the monetary system that it shouldn't be possible to do something like this, manipulate the entire. You want a real original perception of how this plays out? Go and watch Trading Places. It's basically a movie where the idea was to take somebody that was down and out and swap them with somebody rich, put them in the down and out position, and then see what happens to them. And while they're doing this, they end up manipulating the market. You'll have to go and watch it. It's quite fascinating, and it gives you a real world perspective of what trading was then. This is 30 years ago. So plus, probably. Anyway, it's an interesting movie, and it actually merges a lot of concepts that I talk about, which is science, technology, and society. And when you pay attention to it, you go, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Maybe Mayor Watt is right, that as wealth increases, they become more and more sociopathic. So prosecutors said that Eisenberg fraudulently obtained $110 million worth of cryptocurrency from the Mango Markets Exchange and its customers by artificially driving up the price of both futures contracts and the MNGO crypto token. He then borrowed cryptocurrency based on the value of the inflated assets without intending to repay it. Well, that's not so much. Well, it's interesting. The man, 28-year-old from San Juan, faces maximum possible sentence of 20 years in prison for the charges of wire fraud, commodities manipulation. How they would get away with not paying back the loans. I suppose if the loans were cryptocurrency based, yeah, I mean, at some point the real world would catch up to them beyond the law for manipulating. But the loan itself for $110 million somehow got $110 million. Pay it all back. Hell, I mean, crypto is weird, and I have an interesting I believe I have an interesting take on it, but not here, not today, not in the time machine. Let's keep moving. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. Drive-through car wash was too much for Tesla Cybertruck. This one I watched actually happen, not in person, but in real time. It was quite fascinating. So the original story is over on Jalopnik, and I judge this story by its cover because there's no snippet in the actual article. I'll have to look into that. But it says, quote, "That's the only thing I've done that's different. Then I pulled it into the garage and nothing." Bradley Brownell over at Gizmodo.com put this article together, but it's originally from Jalopnik, which is a partner site with Gizmodo.com. And so it's a really short story, really a short article. But after just a couple of months and a few thousand miles of ownership, TikTok user caption.ads Tesla Cybertruck was effectively a several thousand pound and many thousand pound paperweight after several hours. After taking his truck to the beach and stopping off at a car wash to clean it up, he parked the truck in his garage where it decided to stop working for a while. The screen, which runs all functions on the truck, went black and wouldn't respond at all, even after performing the factory prescribed reboot procedure. Not great. So apparently what happened was they went into a car wash, but didn't apparently, and they say here, the Cybertruck's owner's manual does caution against ever washing the truck in direct sunlight. And there is a section expressly mentioning that the truck has to be switched into car wash mode before washing to avoid damage to parts of the vehicle. And they actually say the charging door and the wiper, from my recollection. But apparently it's this is the Achilles heel of Cybertruck. Too much moisture. So I'm really curious what is the difference between a car wash and maybe the directed firing of water into a particular area might cause a Cybertruck to short out or something. But regardless, what is a torrential rain then? You know, what happens if you get close to the boardwalk while you're driving your car and a rogue wave splashes your car? Is it all going to just shit the bed and down you go? You're done. You got a paperweight. That's ridiculous. So they say a call with Tesla confirmed that the truck had needed a complete reboot, which took over 5 hours of sitting to complete. From the moment he'd initiated the reboot method of holding down 2 steering wheel buttons, the truck was apparently working on a reboot until sometime in the middle of the night. Yeah. Woke up to a mostly functional truck. So I don't know what the actual... Yeah. I don't know what actually is going to end up happening with that. But this thing, you know, supposedly can withstand... It has supposedly bulletproof windows and whatnot, but man, I don't think Tesla's ready for prime time. I'm just glad that qualified, good engineers are working on SpaceX stuff and that, well, let's just leave it alone. Okay, the next article is over in the Law Nerd channel. Let me throw it into the chat real quick. A lawyer reprimanded after mistakenly emailing opposing counsel with a plan to avoid judge's call. A Massachusetts lawyer who mistakenly copied the opposing counsel on an email has been reprimanded for its message to a bankruptcy attorney. And essentially what ended up happening was, before I get too far, this article is over at the ABAjournal.com. It's written by Deborah Cassens-Weiss. And in a nutshell, there's so much more in this that you'll really have to go over and read the minutia of it. But it's really interesting because what ended up happening was, here's the nuts and bolts of it. The lawyer for CSI Engineering claimed that the defendants were withholding information about the bankruptcy to encourage the plaintiff not to prepare for the trial. The judge said that he would call the bankruptcy attorney. As the clerk was dialing, Cosentino, who is the attorney that was reprimanded, sent the bankruptcy attorney an email that read, "Court is going to call you, don't pick up." And then he sent a text that said, "Don't pick up your phone." So Cosentino mistakenly copied the opposing counsel on the email, and Cosentino was reprimanded for conduct intended to disrupt a tribunal. Then he gave a statement to the ABA Journal that said, "It's an unfortunate situation. I believe I was acting in the best interest of my client, but I recognize my mistake. I'm glad that to put this behind me and move forward. Yeah, see, this is the kind of thing where you go, okay, the ethics is actually a pretty big chapter in law, but acting in the best interests of my client seems like a massive excuse for doing some questionable acting. So reprimand away. Let's keep going. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. An ancient snake in India might have been longer than a school bus. See, we are always returning to the measurement of school buses and weighed a ton, not unlike a school bus. Researchers in India have found fossils of an ancient giant snake that could have been longer than a school bus. So is it a Chinese surveillance balloon-sized school bus? Which, that means there's 3 of them. Let's look at the article. Christina Larson from AP wrote this article, and it's over at abcnews.go.com. Even when I don't want to talk about politics gets pulled into these news articles that I'm highlighting, and I don't edit, which means that when I try to promote this, I can't, because anything that shows certain names or a political party apparently nixes my ability to promote the show. Anyway, there's a video over here, and it says that fossils found near a coal mine revealed a snake that stretched an estimated 36 feet, 11 meters to 15 meters, so 36 feet to 50 feet. It's comparable to the largest known snake of about 42 feet that once lived in what is now Colombia. The largest living snake today is Asia's reticulated python at 33 feet or 10 meters. The newly discovered behemoth lived 47 million years ago in western India's swampy evergreen forests. It could have weighed up to 2,200 pounds, and researchers said all of this in journal Scientific Reports. Go and check out this article. There's a video, and it shows some pictures of vertebrae. The next article is over in The Word in Law. Author granted copyright over book with AI generated text with a twist. So I give talks about this. And this one I found out about later, actually after I had given a talk. But it says the message, last October, the author over at Ars Technica received an email with a hell of an opening line. I fired a nuke at the U.S. Copyright Office this morning. And the message continues with, the message was from Eliza Shoup, a 60-year-old retired U.S. Army veteran who had just filed a copyright registration for a novel she'd recently self-published. She'd used OpenAI's ChatGPT extensively while writing the book. Her application was an attempt to compel the U.S. Copyright Office to overturn its policy on work made with AI, which generally requires would-be copyright holders to exclude machine-generated elements. Correct. So if you use AI-generated anything, music, written word, video, pictures, generated art, etc., none of that can be protected by copyright because it's not human created. So Kate Nibbs over at Wired.com put the article together, but it's posted at ArsTechnica.com. So the novel draws from Shoup's eventful life, including her advocacy for more inclusive gender recognition. Its registration provides a glimpse into how USCO, U.S. Copyright Office, is grappling with artificial intelligence, especially as more people incorporate AI tools into the creative works. I believe that you should be able to copyright anything that's created. Artificial intelligence right now cannot generate spontaneously. It needs an input. It needs to be given the impetus to go and create. Especially as more people incorporate these AI tools is going to be a problem because as I did all week this week, I gave talks about this in particular, showing how I could basically create a fake persona of a musician all the way up. We're talking about lyrics and music and cover art for albums and videos for the music. Everything I can do as a virtual avatar. And have no training in any of it. And then I can publish the albums and I can sell the music. The only thing I can't do is live, because I would have to come up with some way. And then I hit upon the idea of, well, Hatsune Miku is a hologram and I can create a hologram. So now I can do concerts as well. So you'll be hearing from Mayor Watt in concert. No, if I do it, it's going to be a completely different animal. In fact, one of the shows that I'm probably going to be kicking off this weekend. I haven't firmly decided yet, but I'm really considering, and I'll be letting everybody know on Sunday. There is a channel here called Mix War here in ohmTown.com that's all about music. And I want a competition, and I'm going to spin up Mix War as an AI-based music competition where each week, each month, each quarter, each year, prizes will be awarded to those who win in the competition. And it'll be held live instead of news every week. It may be nothing more than music that gets played and people get to vote live here on Twitch. But let's get back to this, right? This artificial intelligence issue. It says we're seeing the Copyright Office struggling where to draw the line. Intellectual property lawyer Erica Van Loon, a partner at Nixon Peabody, says. So the agency backdated the copyright registration to October 10th, the day that Shoup originally attempted to register her work. It declined to comment on the story. The Copyright Office does not comment on specific copyright registrations or pending applications for registration, Nora Sheeland, an agency spokesperson, says. And basically it says the scope of protection for works produced using AI. So the way that USCO did this, it says notice granting Shoup copyright registration for her book does not recognize her as the author of the whole text, as is conventional for written works. Instead, she is considered the author of the selection, coordination, and arrangement of text generated by artificial intelligence. This means that no one can copy the book without permission, but the actual sentences, paragraphs themselves are not copyrighted and could theoretically be rearranged and republished as a different book. That is a theoretical, in the courtroom type of argument, and will end up with this book probably pushing us into a courtroom. Not us, me, but the author and whoever decides to spin this. And you could spin this myriad way. Why? Because based on its framing, AI generated work isn't assigned in its totality, including the structure, all of the characters, all of the stuff. It's basically just, this is limiting it to the alignment of the artificial intelligence generated work. So I can see that this is going to be a problem. So she said she's proud of the finished work and sees working with text generator as a different but no less worthwhile method of expressing thoughts. You don't just hit generate and get something worthy of publishing. This is what I tell people. It's an exercise in compromise. You either have to go, oh, all right, that's good enough. And I say this often enough in my talks, and I say this often enough here on the stream. But you just kind of go, all right, fine, that's good enough. Or you have to sit there and manipulate. This looks like the work was generated, but then they edited it. And if they rearranged it slightly this way or that way, if it didn't have any fundamental changes, then it is nothing more than AI generated. And I think that it should be, they deserve the embodiment of the work being assigned to them. It's their reason I should say they are the architect of that work. So I don't see why they can't be granted in whole that work's protection. Instead, they mince and beat around the bush as to what it is that is a copyright, but they are the ones that created it. Just like all you did as a photographer was push the damn button, and autofocus and lighting and aperture setting, everything is automatic. Just because you sat there and took 2,000 images and chose one from the 2,000 doesn't mean that you are the arbiter of what is art, what deserves a copyright. You just happen to create 2,000 images. By the way, every single one of those images is protected by copyright by default. It's an embodiment constructed by a human, no better than AI, because the camera is all mechanical. It's just a tool. Click. So I don't buy into anything that the whole it's done by AI mentality, I think, is bogus, Anyway, the Brooklyn Law Appeal also claimed that Shoop should be granted copyright for compiling the book, that is, doing the work of selecting and organizing the snippets of AI-generated text. It provided an exhaustive log of how Shoop prompted ChatGPT, showing the custom commands she created and edits she made. It includes a side-by-side comparison of the unedited machine output in the final version of Shoop's book. One sentence, she adjusted almost every line in some way. On a sentence level, she almost adjusted every line. You know what? Frankly, I don't care. The reason the book exists is because that author put in a series of commands and out came that work. It wasn't done in a vacuum, because nowhere in the large language model is that specific embodiment all by itself. And arguably, when do all of the fingerprints line up so that that AI regenerates that work as is? If it is as unique as a fingerprint, I see no reason why a copyright can't be created. In fact, there's more people that are just copying other people and changing a few things than there are people creating original works. I'm willing to bet maybe $1. I'm not really much of a betting person anymore. Anyway, the appeal cites another recent AI copyright decision about the graphic novel Zarya and the Dawn, which is something that we spoke about in a previous episode. In February 2023, author Chris Kashtanova was granted copyright to the selection and arrangement of AI-generated images in the text, even though they were denied copyright on the specific images themselves. So yeah, anything created right now in the United States with an AI cannot be given a copyright, but it has this caveat that it's a selection. And you basically have to declare that it's an AI generated work, otherwise it'll get punted automatically. But protection is protection. I don't know. We'll see. I'll be watching this, and I actually have a channel on ohmTown.com called Right Protect, which may focus deeper into AI copyright. News specifically. Right now it just talks about intellectual property rights. But I spoke for a long time on this. Let's keep on going. The next article is over on ohmTown Daily. Seattle's Instacart shoppers are having to go miles out of their way because of the new gig worker pay law. Instacart is adding miles to some Seattle deliveries, helping avoid paying the city gig worker wage. It created a border to define orders in the city from the suburbs of the pay up law when it took effect. Instacart, DoorDash, and other gig delivery apps are fighting to roll back the Seattle law. So the article is over at Business Insider. Alex Bitter is the author. And so Seattle's minimum wage law for gig workers took effect on January 13th, requiring companies like Instacart and DoorDash to pay these workers a minimum wage comparable to the city's nearly $20 hourly minimum, $19.97. That's almost the date at which wages stagnated. Profits can keep increasing, costs keep increasing, but salaries, not so much. Anyway, But some order offers from Seattle and its suburbs seen by Business Insider suggest that the companies are avoiding paying the higher wage by sending shoppers to stores outside the city to fill orders, even if it takes longer and adds miles to the delivery run or risks disrupting or disappointing customers. One recent offer from Instacart seen by a shopper who works in the Seattle area involved driving 7.4 miles from a Total Wine store to a customer's home in the Shoreline neighborhood to deliver some hard seltzer. There was another Total Wine store about half as far from the customer's house with a similar product selection, but it was located within the city of Seattle, and the shopper who shared the offer with Business Insider said this. So they have a picture of it. The real problem is you can't get time back. So if they have this time sink constantly having to drive out from a quote unquote higher wage area to one that makes more money for the parent company, everybody's treated as gig workers. So they can only make as much money as gigs that they take on. So if they have to go where the gig parent tells them to go, then I think like Instacart, sorry. If they're told you have to do this by Instacart, then I think the gig economy in Seattle is going to get screwed up. Let's keep going though. The next article is over in Reality Hacker. NASA green lights mission to send a car-sized drone to Saturn moon. NASA's Mars helicopter mission is now officially over, but following it is an even more complex flying machine destined to explore Saturn's largest moon. The article by Trevor Mogg is over at Digital Trends, and it's going to be apparently a massive drone. The space agency on Tuesday gave the green light to the Dragonfly drone mission to Titan, where you're going to end up meeting Thanos. The announcement means the design of the 8-rotor aircraft can now move forward or towards completion, followed by construction and testing regime to confirm operability of the machine and its science instruments. Pretty neat. Quote, Dragonfly is a spectacular science mission with broad community interest, and we are excited to take the next steps, says Nikki Fox, Associate Administrator of NASA's Science Mission Directorate. Quote, exploring Titan will push the boundaries of what we can do with rotorcraft outside of Earth. Because we already have a little drone flying around on Mars, we might as well send one into a heavier atmosphere. So this is supposed to be the size of a small car. If preparations succeed as planned, Dragonfly will launch atop a rocket in 2028 and arrive at the organic-rich Titan moon in 2034. Once deployed, it'll fly between dozens of scientifically interesting missions in a search for evidence of prebiotic chemical processes common on Titan and also early Earth before life developed. Well, that's our assumption. Let's keep going. The next article is over on ohmTown Daily. It's titled, Colorado enacted a law meant to stop tech companies sharing your brainwave data. This is some AI doom bullshit too. Colorado lawmakers have signed a bill aimed at protecting privacy of the burgeoning field of neurotech. The act expands the definition of sensitive data to include our neural information. The law came in response to the largely unregulated consumer neurotechnology industry. And Mia Jankowicz over at BusinessInsider.com put the article together. I find this kind of tech really interesting. But this kind of research needs to be conducted, and it needs to be conducted constantly. The more we know about brain activity, the more we can address neural or neuro related issues. There's a massive new MRI out, a higher resolution than ever before. It has the ability to detect maladies that are far-ranging. To sit there and find certain issues, you basically have to keep on doing neuroscans of various types. So brainwave activity, for instance. But the bill, and to do this, it may require purchasing data from others, because it's not, I mean, this stuff is wildly expensive. These pieces of equipment are in the millions of dollars and tens of thousands of dollars to use, and the higher the resolution, the higher the cost. And you need high resolution to truly understand brain activity. You can't just sit there and, draw it all out with a Crayola. So unless they have carve-outs for research and development, which, if they're trying to protect the sale of information, they probably didn't anticipate that, but we'll see. It says data concerning the activity of a human brain and wider nervous system, or neural data, is extremely sensitive and can reveal intimate information about individuals, including information about health, mental states, emotions, cognitive functioning, the bill stated. Because every brain is different, the storage of neural data always contains sensitive information that may link the data to an identified or identifiable individual. It added, but no. Because every brain is different doesn't mean that it's going to be able to identify somebody. We're not at that point where we can detect a human being from their brain pattern, their neural data. In the future, when it's high enough resolution, maybe, but we don't understand enough. This is insane. But I bet you, okay, so Jared Genser, co-founder of the Neuro Rights Foundation, which supported the bill's passage, told the New York Times that data processed by consumer neurotechnology remains largely unregulated. He said it escapes the kind of protections offered to, for example, patient data in a healthcare setting. No, it doesn't. If the information is held within a healthcare setting, then it's protected by HIPAA. I don't know what he's talking about, what they are talking about. Yeah, I'm sure that this doesn't... You know what? Follow the money, folks. Follow the money. There is no way that this isn't protected by healthcare rules that are already in place. My MRI is not available to somebody to buy. And if it is ever found out that my healthcare information is being bought and sold, then yeah, raise all kinds of hell. There are rights, there are rules. HIPAA is primarily the guiding document for it. So the consumer and neurotechnology industry has few household names, Elon Musk, Neuralink being one of the few to reach wider public awareness, but even that had problems and I hate it that it's tied to this dude. But anyway, wherever his money goes his name. I won't get into it. Anyway, and the person with that was told that the first human person to be put under the knife for this said that he wasn't even told that all of the animal test subjects, that some of them died. And he was told that none of them died because of Neuralink. But again, it's kind of like the global warming isn't caused by humans. It's caused by human industrialization. So that's different. Well, no. If you put Neuralink in it and they die of some issue that they wouldn't have had out in the wild, then yeah, it was your device there, bub. Anyway, let's keep going. We've got one more article in the time machine, and we're running pretty hot here. We're going to have to get out of here, get back to our normal time, and be ready for our show at 8 p.m. Eastern. The last article is over in the Mobile Channel. Owner of New York City's defunct nuclear plant sues the state. Haltech International says a state statute blocking routine water releases from Indian Point violates federal law. The article is over at HuffPost.com. Alexander C. Kaufman is the author. And virtually every nuclear power plant all over the world releases tiny volumes of a radioactive isotope known as tritium from its cooling water into surrounding waterways, unlike long-lasting and dangerous radioisotopes that form during atom splitting processes. Tritium, an isotope of hydrogen, laces into water, making it almost impossible to extract. Luckily, tritium, which has never been linked to cancer in humans, is too weak to penetrate skin and decays quickly in 12-year half-lives. So power plants spew small amounts into the environment at rates indistinguishable from what naturally occurs from cosmic rays. By the way, you can actually buy tritium vials. They glow perpetually. It's pretty neat. You can get different colors now, but it's typically this green kind of fluorescent kind of looking thing. But yeah, tritium is pretty cool. It used to, I think it still does. It gets put on watch arms, you know, the little arms that go around in the dial when we had dials. They're pretty cool. Anyway, it says when a nuclear reactor is generating electricity, these releases are a matter of routine operation. Once those plants close down and the utility that runs them sells off the facility, a decommissioning company, the onus falls on firms such as Florida-based Haltech International to obtain new permits to release tritium. So they were told that they couldn't. Restricting discharges of any radiological substance into the Hudson River in connection with the decommissioning of a nuclear power plant. This was signed legislation by Kathy Hochul from New York City, or actually from New York, the governor. And that was done last August. So in litigation filed with Southern District Court of New York on Thursday, Haltech said that the Empire State's law violates the federal statute giving U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission sole authority over radiological discharges from nuclear power plants, whether online or decommissioning. So this will end up in the court. They said they're welcome to sue, said State Senator Pete Harcum, who authorized the Senate version of the legislation. He pointed to an 1983 Supreme Court decision that ruled in favor of California's regulators' right to restrict nuclear power plants based on the economic toll the facilities could take on the surrounding area. While he said locals only learned of the tritium discharges after Indian Point shut down, once they found out there was enormous outcry. Yeah, but ignorance causes that outcry. Tritium is harmless. Now he said communities along the Hudson are being damaged with the knowledge that tritium is being released. They're being damaged with knowledge. All right. Yeah, there's no evidence that tritium has caused any problems because it isn't ionizing and it doesn't have enough energy to penetrate the top layer of skin. It isn't persistent, but I'm sure, you know, yeah, do some due diligence and you'll probably find out that there's probably forever chemicals that are being processed somewhere in this person's sphere of influence or something else. I mean, there's always something. You know, I'm anti-microplastics, but I've got a bottle of Gatorade sitting next to me. It is zero sugar, though, so I guess a little bit of microplastics and some tritium. Yeah, it's not going to hurt anybody. Anyway, that's it for today. I am Mayor Watt. This has been the ohmTown Daily News Show. We always get into the party bus and race back to the Main Street welcome sign. I'd mash that button, but that's going to pull me into tomorrow, which is today. In my time machine, we got to go back. So, see you in a few hours. Again, bye-bye.